finding the Master Sword in Zelda, bouncing on a Goomba in Mario, honing your skills in a duck hunt, all things you probably did as a kid with your first Nintendo system. For most of us, playing games was a pastime. But for one lucky man, this wasn't some hobby. It was his job. "1981 was a year of new frontiers. In the US, a new decade of technology and pop culture was approaching, making it a promising land for booming Japanese companies. America had said hello to a kitty a few years earlier, but it was a gorilla that stole the attention of the new generation. Donkey Kong was Nintendo's first big breakthrough in the Western arcade scene. The game helped the Japanese company climb its way up to America, eventually establishing a new headquarters in Seattle, Washington, to bolster their hit. And this is the story of one of their first employees, who was soon to become a gaming legend.
No!
This is Howard Phillips. This is Howard Phillips' gaming jacket. This is Howard Phillips' original 1989 Game Boy. And this is how Howard started working at Nintendo.
Kind of embarrassing. I started at Nintendo in 1981. It was really just the 5 or 6 of us. I was the shipping warehouse manager. My role was to bring in all of the arcade games and unload them and record all the serial numbers and then pack them up for shipment.
It doesn't sound like the greatest gig in the world, but working in the warehouse came with one pretty big perk.
I could play all the games. Whenever a new game came in, I could open it up and plug it in and play it.
But playing games could never be a full-time career. Or could it? Nintendo of America was run by this man, Mr. Minoru Arakawa. The company was looking to break into the US market, but needed a little advice.
Being Japanese, they were very, very attentive to the customer, and the customer was king. I was their kind of gateway into the US zeitgeist and all of what players really wanted to play.
Why you, Howard?
Who knows why, out of the few people who were working with the company at the time, that I got kind of selected as being one of the more true voices. I think it was just my enthusiasm for play. You know, I'm a player's player. I love to play games. I love to play at everything.
In 1985, Nintendo was ready to move out from the arcade and into the living room.
Mr. Arakawa said to me, "What do you think are the best games?" And I played them all and I said, "Mr. Arakawa, these are the best 15 games. Everybody will love these games."
And so, the Game Master was born.
Howard Phillips, also known as Mr. Nintendo. It's his job to test every Nintendo game that comes out.
What is a Game Master? It was really just a focus on what it means when a player meets a game. It's that connection.
We were really looking for someone to represent the gamer and to speak directly to the gamer. And Howard really fit the bill. He was like a grown-up, but he was still like a kid. It gave you the impression more of a character than a business person.
I think the connection that I had with players was that shared love of just gaming. And then their mom or dad would show up and they would say, "But you know, they're not educational," or whatever the negative association was that they wanted to put with video games in their child.
It may be the most addictive toy in history. Nintendo video games.
Is it turning their brains to mush?
Shame on people that produce that trash. It's child abuse in my judgment.
It was saddening to me that that's how parents perceived their kids' joy as something that was maybe a negative.
Video games had a bad rep. But Howard could see the positive effects the games had on kids.
It was a shared love of the experience of discovering something new or being really, really frustrated at something, but just trying and being patient and persistent, which is learning.
And the players wanted to learn more. More information, more tricks, more tips. And the Game Master was there to deliver.
Nintendo Power, your direct connection to the pros for better play. The official magazine of video mastery. For ordering information.
My role was to make sure that every single bit of information in that 132 pages each month was accurate and spoke in a way that the players wanted to understand and know about.
But that wasn't the only role Howard played.
When we were setting up all the columns in Nintendo Power, we thought it would be great to include a comic strip.
Howard Nestor is just a cartoon that describes a child player who's always trying to get past the next level in a game. And Howard is the game master who knows everything about the games, who can provide some tips.
And Howard is you?
That's me. Dear Howard Phillips, I am 12 years old and your biggest fan. My friends and I read Nintendo Power, who are the best in your business. Your biggest fan with a capital B, bye. The notoriety of being game master really was crazy. I would be pumping gas at the gas station. I would be buying potato chips at the supermarket, or I'd be at a movie and kids would come up to me and their parents would come up to me and, and say, "Oh, you're the guy?"
The guy who was able to turn his passion for video games into a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So, Howard, what was the best part about being game master?
It was really fun to fulfill people's dreams, and to shake the hand of some little kid and ask them about their favorite game and make them feel validated and like they're smart and cool. So it was really fun. Over.